The Motorsports Appeals Panel upholds Cole Custer's massive penalty, Corey LaJoie wins a modified race at Martinsville, and Alex Bowman will return to the driver's seat at Phoenix. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Full show ahead. Stay tuned towards the end because NASCAR Xfinity Series driver Bayley Currey joins us to talk all things Martinsville. He's debuting an epic Aleve paint scheme this Saturday. Gonna get to ask him some questions about what makes Martinsville Speedway so special. That'll be at the end of this episode. Appreciate Bayley for coming on and being a part of the show. But before we talk to Bayley, we've got some major NASCAR news stories to unpack. First, yesterday, Cole Custer and Stewart-Haas Racing had their appeal heard by the Motorsports Appeals Panel, and in this case, the panel sided with NASCAR. The panel voted to uphold the $100,000 fine to both Cole Custer and crew chief Mike Shiplett, the indefinite suspension to crew chief Mike Shiplett, as well as the loss of 50 driver and 50 owners points. A massive penalty that NASCAR handed out because they believed the 41 team artificially altered the finish of the Charlotte Roval race a couple weeks ago. We've talked enough about the ambiguous nature of the 100% rule. I do believe the 41 team broke it, and I understand why the penalty is so freaking harsh. I guess I just feel a little funny about it because the line that SHR crossed in this case is not clearly defined. I feel like there are many examples in recent years. Don't pass him, Jones. Chase Elliott blocking Harvick at the end of Bristol. Logano helping his teammate last year. Chastain helping his teammate. There are other examples that I think flirt with disaster that are this close to crossing that line that warranted no penalty. Custer and team barely crossed that line and they get the whole dictionary thrown at them. I guess just the 0 to a million miles per hour in this case is what's a little jarring to me. I'm not saying that Cole Custer and SHR didn't break the rules, don't deserve some sort of penalty. I think they did. It's just jarring, I suppose, to go from no penalty for all these other issues that are really close to breaking that rule to suddenly all the penalty for Cole Custer, who barely crossed that line. I guess it just seems like a sudden jump. I guess that's the only reason I feel a little funny about it. Anyway, moving on. Last night, Corey LaJoie, Super Shoe, won himself a NASCAR Well and Modified Tour race at Martinsville Speedway. He got himself a grandfather clock, but it wasn't without some controversy. In the closing laps, Corey LaJoie was racing bumper to bumper, door to door with the leaders when this major crash broke out, taking out the first and second place cars. LaJoie was able to scoot through the crash and take the lead. He held on for the win, of course. After the race, according to reporter Matt Weaver, who was there, Tommy Baldwin, who owned one of the cars that was involved in that crash, was shouting at Corey LaJoie, calling him a hack, and Corey says back, he's got a clock. Tempers at Martinsville before the weekend even officially begins. So why is Tommy Baldwin angry? If we look back at that crash, look closely at the replay, Corey LaJoie is the second car in that outside lane, the 53, and it looks like it's him who right hooks the second place car, collecting the leaders. I want to preface this by saying I don't watch a whole lot of modified racing. They have their big events like at New Hampshire, this one at Martinsville. I do often watch these, at least partially, but I don't know a whole lot about these cars, how they handle in a pack, how they race, the culture, the racing etiquette. I must admit, I'm not the most familiar, but to my eye, it looked like the 22 on the inside of Kyle Bonsignor came up into LaJoie and hooked him into the leaders. That's just me. Maybe that's not what happened. LaJoie kind of actually took the blame for the incident afterwards during his post-race interview, again with Matt Weaver, who was doing great reporting on the ground there. But he was unapologetic to Tommy Baldwin in that interview. So I don't know. Congrats to Corey LaJoie. It's awesome to see him win a big-time race, a major event. But it appears as though he did ruffle some feathers along the way. You be the judge. Any big modified fans, let me know down in the comments below what you think happened in that big crash. Congrats to Corey LaJoie. A shame that a lot of good cars got involved in that big crash. I don't know. To me, that's short track racing. I don't know. I'm not trying to be the Corey LaJoie apologist, but I mean, to my naked eye, I can't see what he did wrong. Maybe he did do something wrong. Let me know down in the comments. Now, the last bit of news we have to get to before Bayley Currey joins the show. Alex Bowman is back.
Hey guys, been a bit. Really excited to be able to tell you that I'm coming back for the last race at Phoenix. Greg and I started something there in 2016 that we never got to finish. So hopefully we can get the job done. To have one final race with Greg is going to be really special. But thank you to Ally and Hendrick Motorsports, all the doctors that have helped me It's been a long road and a lot of work, but excited to be back to 100% and be able to get back in a race car. So hope to see you guys out there. We're going to finish the season strong and hopefully get one last win for Greg. See you guys there.
First, this is great news. Bowman has missed every race since he wrecked at Texas. Unfortunately, that also knocked him out of the playoffs this year. I'm thrilled that Alex Bowman is back. You just never know with head injuries just how severe they truly are, how long-lasting the effects will be felt. I'm glad that he's recovered to a point that he's comfortable racing again. Doctors, I suppose, are comfortable letting him race. The team are comfortable letting him race. This is great news that he's managed to recover to a point that he can still race this season, even if it's just one race at the very end. It is, I guess, a home track for him, Phoenix. Isn't Bowman from Tucson? Like an hour or two away? Something like that? I must say, personally, I both love and hate the revenge shirt he's wearing in that clip.
Greg and I started something there in 2016 that we never got to finish. So,
you know, the race he nearly won while filling in for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Also the race where he and Matt Kenseth got together on the second to last restart, ending Matt Kenseth's championship 4 hopes. Besides the Daytona 500 from that same year, that is probably the hardest moment to watch as a Matt Kenseth fan. And I don't blame Alex Bowman for it. I mean, Matt Kenseth's spotter cleared him low, and obviously he was not clear low, and they came together and wrecked. I don't blame Bowman for it, but I still hate being reminded of that instance. I vividly remember watching the finish of that race in my freshman dorm room. I had a roommate sitting next to me on his computer who didn't know anything about racing. I'm watching the race, and the moment Kenseth spins, I blacked out. I think I threw something, which is like unheard of for me. I'm usually pretty even keel when it comes to watching my teams do good or bad, but I'm pretty sure I threw something. I don't remember what I threw, where I threw it, but it made my roommate very concerned for a moment. I remember after the race was over, I needed comfort food, so I was like, I want chicken tenders. I intentionally chose the furthest chicken tender restaurant from me on campus. I walked over a mile just because I needed fresh air. I just needed to walk it off. I was steaming. So Alex Bowman, referencing unfinished business, wearing that shirt brings back some unfortunate memories. Sorry, tangent aside though, I am really happy that Alex Bowman is coming back. I'm a little surprised just because, you know, he's out of the Drivers' Championship. I figured he'd just kind of call it a season, make sure he's 100% in time for the Clash and the Daytona 500, which you guys know are only about 3.5 months away. It's not that far from now. But I'm glad Bowman is coming back because this kind of gives you some good momentum going into the offseason, going into 2023, which is going to be an extremely important season. We've talked about this some already, but Alex Bowman's contract is up after next season. So is Ally's major sponsor. His longtime crew chief Greg Ives is retiring from crew chiefing after this season. We now know, as of a couple weeks ago, that Blake Harris will join Alex Bowman. He's coming over from Front Row, and Michael McDowell. I think that's a very good move, but needless to say, there's a ton of pressure on Alex Bowman and that whole 48 team next year. Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and William Byron have all signed multi-year contract extensions in the past 9 months. Alex Bowman has not, and to my knowledge, Ally has not signed an extension either. I'm not sure that Alex Bowman racing at Phoenix next week will have any real impact on next season, but if nothing else, it sends a message to his team, to Hendrick Motorsports. Alex Bowman wants to go to work. He wants to be behind the wheel. He wants to be in that seat. He wants to get the best possible results for his guys, for his race team, for Ally, for Hendrick Motorsports. Their guy is back in the seat. There are no questions going into 2023 who the driver of the 48 is. It is Alex Bowman, looking for a new contract, looking to extend their sponsor, got a new crew chief atop the pit box. We'll see how he does at Phoenix, hoping for the best, hope he's able to play it safe, be careful out there, and looking forward to seeing what Alex Bowman can do in 2023. With Blake Harris, who's put up crazy numbers with Michael McDowell this year coming over, who knows? They could hit the ground running and do something great next year. Be very special. I'm excited to see. Anyway, y'all, that's the news. Now let's talk a little Martinsville Speedway. I'm now joined by Bayley Currey, driver for JD Motorsports in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Thanks for being on, Bayley. A great looking fire suit, by the way. That looks awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Got a big sponsor to leave this weekend. I was just sitting out here at the shop. I figured I'd try it on, make sure everything's perfect before we head to Martinsville.
Yeah, I feel like NASCAR drivers, half the job is wearing fire suits in like inappropriate places. Hopefully the building's not going to catch on fire. You should be safe. But if it does, you're way ahead of the game there. That looks awesome.
Oh yeah.
Well, Bayley, you're fresh off a top 15 finish at Homestead Miami Speedway. I guess first question, how much confidence does that give you and your team going into here these last couple weeks?
Oh, quite a bit. We've had a rough patch here, the past three before Homestead, and to kind of get one to right the ship has been very good. It's definitely a confidence booster. It gives us a little bit of momentum going into Martinsville and Phoenix, two places where we've had speed earlier in the year. So um, we've been working on these things the past few days here, trying to get this Martinsville card knocked out so we can move on to Phoenix. And yeah, it's going well, and I'm excited to get to Martinsville and represent a Leaf.
Yeah, it's a great looking paint scheme. And I'll ask you about Martinsville in just a moment. You said you've kind of had a rough stretch these past 3 weeks, but I was looking back at your numbers, looking back at your results, the finishes, and you've had some pretty decent finishes. 11th at Bristol, 12th at Texas, not all that long ago. I feel like you've gotten a little more attention. Maybe that's the right word in recent weeks. I know Dale Earnhardt Jr. even gave you a little shout out on his podcast a few weeks back. So, how does that make you feel as a young driver still kind of getting their place in the Xfinity series? Is that part of the goal right now? Just getting the right people's attention?
Yeah, definitely. You go for a long time without anybody noticing much anything you're doing, and to finally get a little bit of recognition here and there, it does feel good. But you can't let that go to your head. You just got to keep your head down and keep digging.
Absolutely. Well, Martinsville, let's talk about that for just a few moments. You do have a very slick looking Aleve paint scheme that you're debuting this weekend. I guess first, let me ask you about that partnership. What does it mean to bring Aleve back into the sport? I know they've had other brands involved with you even this season, but Aleve back on the race car. What's that? How special is that?
It's awesome, man. I don't know how this stuff all comes about. It's really cool, honestly. Lee was in the sport for a while. They were on Matt Kenseth's car back in the day.
I remember that.
And it's just really cool to walk in the shop on Monday with the car all wrapped and look at it. And because it's a great looking car. It might be my favorite one all year. So yeah, it's really neat. And for a small team like us to be getting help from these bigger brands like Aleve, Alka-Seltzer, the whole Bayer family, is really cool.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Looking good on the racetrack is step one to getting the right finish, doing well on Saturday. Martinsville, let's talk about that track or this race specifically, because I was at this race in the spring, the first race this year. And that one, you had a great view of it, featured a massive pile up there towards the end. Martinsville is known for mayhem. So how are you prepared to take on the potential chaos?
We're kind of in a tight spot on points, trying to break into the top 20 driver points. So a lot of it is just keep our nose clean until it's time to go for real at the end, and hopefully stay out of the big melee like there was in the spring. I mean, that was at the end, and we were getting ready to just let her rip, but there's nothing you can do about that. Like, they start crashing, it stacks, you can't do anything. You get run over from behind, you hit the guy in front of you. That sucked because we did have a good car. I think we could have run top 15, maybe even top 10 that day. But hopefully we can go back with the same speed and avoid all that.
Hopefully, yeah. I feel like Martinsville is polarizing amongst many drivers. I've heard from drivers that you kind of figure it out or you never do. It's that kind of racetrack. How do you feel about Martinsville? Is this kind of beating and banging short track action? Is that right up your alley?
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it. A lot of the short track racing, whenever I was growing up, like in late model and stuff, you couldn't make too much contact like you would in one of these. So honestly, racing an Xfinity car at Martinsville kind of feels like racing a Legends car at the summer shootout in the quarter mile in the front straightaway. So there's definitely some beating and banging, but it's fun though. You have to learn how to maybe root someone out of the way or just be able to hold your position when you get inside somebody because they can pinch you down so hard. So all those old short track nuances I used to race with coming back from Martinsville is really cool. And it's on my birthday too. I just looked at the calendar and realized it's my birthday. So that's another special part about this week.
Well, happy early birthday. Martinsville sure is fun to watch, Bailey. Thanks for being on the show. Good luck this weekend. We'll keep an eye out for that Aleve Chevrolet this weekend.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks again to Bayley Currey and Aleve for making that segment possible. Thank you for watching this video. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below. As always, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters as well for going above and beyond to support the show. I truly appreciate your very generous support. Have a wonderful rest of your week. I will see you all again Sunday evening after the Martinsville Cup Series race. The final race for the Championship 4 field is set. Very dramatic, very, very juicy stuff. Thanks for watching. Take it easy, y'all.